patch, which is
We
25.1.3. But the ASO banned away. Starforger is currently lined up in jungle.
I think that we're seeing Starforger in the ADC role today, but of course is renowned for.
So I mean, pretty standard so far. We of course have the classic Aurelion Sol instaban, responded to by a Kalista followed by an R. Seems that we're sort of banning away these more utility teamfight champs. As Aurora also gets banned from the side of PRG.
Well, we'll see if they want
We do, of course, have Starforger back with Eversio today,
I wonder if there will be
which
a red side
does
ban to go alongside
put
it.
a bit of a
Using
question on. I wonder where
front
Drakur will be
Aurora,
playing.
Sol haven't
I'm
got
assuming
red side, but of
Starforger will be playing AD carry.
Nar, your little plushie will be sad, I'm afraid, Harold. Mel as well. No Skarner ban, as it is going to be a Maokai to end things off, and Harold's face says it all.
I
Le Maokai has been banned. They do not want Brickcoon's Maokai, but we will see. Most likely Brickcoon's Skarner. Okay, okay. Feel my stinger. AD carry players try not to play the same 3 champions on repeat challenge. As we do see, Yone once again being locked in for Eversio. I think Drakur played very well last time he played Yone, so I do see why you'd want to pick it. I'm assuming that's the other jungle. It can technically flex to mid lane. But I am a bit curious on what is actually going on. As we see Briar being hovered. Okay, are they trying to say something, Jan? Or is this no? It's locked in. No, it's not. What am I saying? I doubt it's being. I thought it got locked in. I doubt. Shout out. I am a bit interested about what's actually going to be happening with the Quirk Diana Shen. Will this be a game where they basically just keep running it down bot lane and they just, sort of ignore their sides a tiny bit and just maybe we can get a giant lead on their bot lane. Maybe we can just run away with the game. Smart choice if they're gonna be going for that to leave the support for the R4 or R5 pick. But yeah, I mean it's a bit of an interesting draft to say the least. There is obviously the question of where that quirky will be going, since it can technically also be going mid lane. Uh, Honestly, I'm gonna be honest. I'm not too big of a fan of Versio's draft so far. There are a few champions who can sort of glue it back together, though. I will say that much. It is in fact quirky mid. There's a few certain support champs that can definitely save it. I'm trying to like just trying to go through lane. I'm not sure if Leona is one of them. I'm not sure if Leona is one of them. I'm not entirely sure if you really want to be engaging with your Ziggs and to be honest, I find it pretty hard for Skarner to even manage to go into the enemy team. Sorry, is there just a picking sound effect being played on like max volume? Cassiopeia here is a G. Cassiopeia is actually one of the picks I was thinking that could fix this draft. I'm not gonna lie, as we will instead see GP. GP, I don't think. No, let me think. You're playing into Shen. You play on. I think unironically Cassiopeia would have been a lot better than GP, but I understand why GP is being picked here. I think it makes a lot of sense. Where if it looks like they're gonna be sort of just like trying to go for this early game skirmish, why not just pick GP, play a bit into it, and then try to outscale mid game? I understand it too. To be blunt, Rakan is not actually, again, I mean, I'd argue again, not the best choice that can be picked here for PRG. I think if you play a disengaging enchanter here, like a Janna, a Nami, technically you could go a Sona or a Nata. I think it would make a lot more sense. But then again, Rakan is still decent at disengage, so it's not like the worst thing you can pick. My major issue, I think, with versus draft is sure, okay, they have a Skarner, they have a Leona. The front line is somewhat situational and it's based around going in. You know, Skarner and Leona are champions that really want to go in. Meanwhile, you have champions like Ziggs and Gangplank who kind of want to play this mid-range game where they don't really want to be in the fight. They also kind of don't want to be out of the fight. You know, they sort of, Ziggs as an artillery mage is a bit of a unique case where he's not really like a Zerat or a Vel'Koz or even like a Mel. He's more of a champ who kind of wants to be somewhat up close and personal so that he can start getting his passive off. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely not like a gigantic draft gap. I think realistically both teams are very close in terms of their drafts. But I do think PRG are just slightly ahead because I think there's a bit more cohesion in what PRG's comp wants to do versus Eversio's comp. Ezreal Rakan. Ezreal Rakan. Their third pick was Shen. It was Corki Diana, and then Shen third pick. There you go. There's the game. If I am Eversio, the one thing I cannot allow to happen in this game, like I cannot allow it, or else we are going to be incredibly behind for the rest of the game, is GP falling behind. I think this is a game where you really do need to play towards topside. Ziggs, of course, has so much wave clear, quite a bit of range, very good sort of disengage with his W. I mean, it's decent disengage. I think if the GP falls behind here, especially with the Comet, I mean, you're gonna be here's a classic favorite. You're gonna be as useful as nipples on a man. I mean, you're not really gonna be able to do much until you reach these later stages of the game, where the game could already be decided. Other than that, of course, we do have Yone versus Corki. It's a bit of an interesting matchup. Quirky is a champ that spikes really early and then sort of fades out as the game goes on. So, but still, since he's a marksman, he's going to stay relatively strong. Yone is a champion who sort of has a similar pattern, although he spikes a tiny bit harder in the mid game, I'd argue, once you reach those 3 items on Yone. As we do actually see a lane swap happening, and very smart move from PRG. I mean, getting this GP behind is entirely what you want to do here. You want to make sure that this GP is not allowed to reach his early game spikes as fast as he wants, and especially not accelerate them. A fed GP here would be kind of disastrous if you are PRG. So well, yeah, I mean, it's like you're saying here. We do have the Ziggs, seems to be. We do, is a It is a tad bit of a shame that the Ezreal executed underneath the tower, and Aglos did not manage to get the return kill. That said, the invade on the jungle, delaying Diana, I mean, a delayed Diana is going to be very difficult to be able to do much, especially in this early game. And if Skarner having free reign on the map is going to be a bit of a problem, I'd argue, for PRG, as we do see probably a 3-man top lane here. I doubt I go down. I think placing the Ziggs versus the Shen and just allowing him to free farm and get his items, honestly, a small, I think, I'm not sure if it's an advantage for Eversio, but it's definitely something that they are definitely not minding. As you do see a little Hex Flash, the E doesn't manage to miss. Rakan W does land on 2 people, Ezreal does E in. This honestly could be a huge fight for either side. Awaken getting dangerously low will go down. Jakor has to flash out. The GP is just now here. Raccoon is here as well, but I mean, it's a bit of a miscommunication. I think they went in a tad too early, and they will get 2-4-0. And yeah, I mean, that's not something you really want to see. It's not the end of the world. The kills have gone onto the Ezreal, which is quite a bit annoying. Ezreal, of course, is a champion that spikes relatively pretty early, and a good Ezreal will, of course, ruin your day. That said, I think they do have enough lockdown, even for an Ezreal, that they are able to play around it and sort of maybe get a nice pick onto them. If there's one thing, though, if I'm afraid of, if I'm a Versio here, it's that Diana managing to come slightly back into the game and tossing the Skarner a bit behind in tempo. Diana, especially if what seems to be her building the Bruiser build here, I don't think they have a super large amount of answers to that engage. Of course, you technically have things like Ziggs W, and I mean you could of course use maybe Skarner Alt to sort of zone the enemy team from sort of following up, but a good Diana ult into a follow-up by maybe a Shen into that pull. I mean, not exactly going to be the easiest thing to sort of fight around. As you'll see Grubs also go down for the side of PRG. Yes, we do seem to be having a tiny bit of audio issues. I don't think you are being picked up. Yes, I don't think you're being picked up. I don't think maybe the mic is on the wrong setting.
تكلم compliment.
I'm gonna try to cover the game. While Jan sort of tries to
Should
fix his
work
mic
now though.
issue.
From what I can see.
You know what it is? Scroll up. You muted your mic. No?
Okay, so yeah.
Okay,
Perfect.
there, heard you. Nice. Oh, nice.
All right, sorry about that. Back to the game. It's very fast paced at the moment. A bit of a problem there in the jungle. 20 CS under there. It's a whole level for this Diana. Oh yeah, sorry about that, Versal. Yep, I realize I said a lot of things too so far. So yeah, yeah, let's not get back to it. But at the moment, as we can see things here, really the saving grace will be if we can find maybe a fight either on this next Grabs or Dragon. But mostly the important is the item spikes. If we can fight on first item spike here, we shouldn't be able to fall that far behind. Maybe hold down lanes, hover each other. Like here, Iglos should know Grabs are coming up soon. And please, for the love of everything, I would not like us to engage on this. Shen is in the bot lane. We do have teleport on Drakur. At the very least, he can stop him. But I think just by level difference here, Paragon are a bit further ahead if they want to contest this. Let's see, Eversio have a track record of contesting these types of objectives, so I'm not too sure if they do go for it. Some poke here from Starforger on the jungler, which is a good thing to see before an objective at any point in time. Yep. Yeah, I don't know about you, Nano, but I think that's the call here. We should play around our first item spike. We kind of lost a bit this first early game fight. Their champions dealt a bit more damage than ours, perhaps, but oh,
You can definitely play
Starforger
against your. What?
does get full engaged on the shutout coming through, and
The
there you
Ezreal
go.
ult will barely clip him, and
Just
he will go down.
clipping him as you said there, Starforger did go down. So I don't know. The idea here was to try and maybe poke them down before the objective, but he does get caught out, and they will take him and the objective now on top of him losing the time to farm as well. It's a bit of a problematic thing. I'm not sure if it was a call that everyone made, but now Shen doesn't have ult, so Drakur did stop that. In fact, we did not see him come in. So Drakur did trade his ult for Shen ult. Let's see, Iglos here farming. He will try to be getting his collector as soon as possible. He could be looking at a potential dive here, and I hope he does smell it. He does have the ward there. It does signal Diana's there. Diana does find Awaken as he is sitting on a ward. Awaken does a full CC chain on him. Sadly, without any follow-up though. He does end up going down, and now the rest of his team is here to try and back him up, but they are caught in between an awkward position and 4 other members from Paragon here. Realistically, it's a 4v3. Iglos now goes back for the wave, and he is falling dangerously low. Quite low enough to get Dove here, potentially. But he does manage to make it out as the wave gets pushed back, luckily. And he will be able to secure this recall. And Bracoon is around here to try and salvage what's left of his jungle. Blue buff was stolen, which is not the end of the world. Minimum, you want the smaller camps. But this is really troublesome here. We see Paragon getting off this base and getting their first completed items here. Diana has that Rift Maker, Trinity Force on Israel. I expect Paragon to go very deep into Eversio's red side jungle here and take over that, including this dragon. Eversio might not have the answer here. We might have missed the timing for our first item. I'm not sure about you, Nano. Do you have any comments for the current game state? Maybe how we can get back on pace? We need some monster engage maybe from Drakur.
I mean, it is I'll say this a damn shame to things that have led up to this point. Ezreal being able to get his first and soon his second item spike is going to be a big issue, especially with the way that the versus comp is going to most likely. Okay, that is dangerous. I mean, it's a few small mistakes that kind of just led to what ended up being a very dangerous early game. If the right plays are made by the side of Paragon, they could actually look to close out the game quite soon. As I'm actually kind of hearing myself. The game I can't exactly sing, but the way that it was going.
Yeah, there you go. So they did take the dragon in the end. They did manage to secure that, and all props to them. They do have the first item. Paragon are kind of ahead in this game. So let's see how it goes. Iglos here battling it out in the top lane. Awaken is here to support. I think Awaken had some great roams this game. Just a bit maybe unlucky positioning, or the plan wasn't fully flushed to have a teammate there to help him. Let's see here. It's not that far away, but in terms of gold, maybe inside the game they might feel a bit different. It's only 2k. How much is this? Like 2k away. It's really the items that will make a big difference here, but we do see that collector on Iglos finished now. Kind of a big spike if they want to take these next fights. Let's see. Heartsteel as well now on Bracoon. So he's slowly getting there. I imagine Drakur can't be that far away from his Blade of the Ruined King. He's pickaxe down. He did have to finish his tier 2 boots in comparison to the rest of the map. We can see almost no one finished their tier 2 except for Drakur, trying to prioritize that first item spike for these fights. Next objective is this Herald. And yeah, I mean, in general, not really a highly contested objective, but still strong nonetheless. We might be catching out Iglos here just before the objective. It does seem like it might be the case. Diana full sends it on top of him. I'll send all. Iglos is going to be defended by Bracoon and will be walking away from that. Not too sure if it was expected, but he does get on out. He doesn't have teleport, so will need to walk back into the objective here. In the meanwhile here, we do see Diana and Rakan invading Bracoon on his jungle. Bracoon using the Blast Cone to hop away, but this could be potentially another camp in the hands of Diana. He does go up one more level. In terms of items, we're almost there. Drakur finishing his Blade of the Ruined King. This could be a good fight for Eversio. We are on par in terms of items. Let's see. Diana tries to engage here. Let's keep in mind Diana does not have ult. He did use it on Iglos. Now Iglos does go into the bot lane without teleports. Keep in mind the Paragon do have Shen. He could ult in. I'm not really sure what Eversio do to answer that, so they are not contesting this Herald. Alright, so we're keeping calm, cool, and collected. speaking of, I would like to see when this next fight starts. I think this is a very good time in the game to try and find that fight. The items are there, it's not gonna be a big difference. Level wise, we are approximately on par. Just a small level from our tank Raccoon, but I mean he's still gonna do what he needs to do.
Let's see, actually, Draco trying to get a solo kill onto Sorin. He barely does not get it. We will see a flash up by the Diana. Bartoldi will probably most likely does actually manage to kill Draco. I was about to say it's actually maybe out. Sadly, of course, Ikorki does come up, flash is in, finishes the job. It was a good attempt by Draco. I think there was definitely a place to get a pick there. Yeah, I mean, I understand why team fights may be right here because Eversio's item spikes are up. However, if you look at PRG's items, I mean, they're practically up there alongside it. They do have the Deadmans on the Shen. Diana has 1.5 components. Corky's finished his second component with his Manamune. Ezreal is, of course, going to finish his Manamune very soon as well. They'd have to probably find a very advantageous fight or a very particularly good engage in order for this to actually go down well. I'm unsure if it's worth waiting for maybe just a tiny bit longer. Maybe hoping that they get chunked a tiny bit by an objective. Man, it's a difficult game. I'll say that much. It is generally a difficult game. Iglos has opted to go for the collector build to maybe be a tiny bit more
Of a
available,
damage threat,
I guess.
Yeah.
for
But
his
I,
team.
well, I mean, it might be difficult. Realistically, now it got a bit out of hand because Israel does complete that second item. There was a small slot where we could have tried fighting it. Let's see, but anything around this Ezreal is gonna be way too strong to handle at the moment. Until we get that second item, which to be fair, we're not really that far away from. Starforger is almost there with his Leandris. And we do see that, well, we are fighting this. Let's see, Drakur and Brakun are here. We only need to fight anywhere that's not Ezreal. So if there's Ezreal, we try to avoid this if possible. Alright.
Doesn't really look like they're going to be looking to fight. Of course, Starforger is finishing his Leandris. He's very close to getting his second item. And Ziggs with 2 items is a very annoying poke and damage threat. He's able to chunk out quite a large amount of damage in a relatively short amount of time. That said, Corki and Ezreal basically do the same thing, and they're quite a bit ahead of the Ziggs. So we'll need to see exactly what is going to be able to happen here. As Diana is, of course, again, just building this bruiserish AP Diana. And I mean, it's such a genuinely sort of like kit-altering build. It still lets her deal decent damage, but also just gives her this tankiness. It's kind of reminiscent of back when there was like a tank Diana. As I mean, wow, that is. I mean, you just see the damage that's coming out, even with the added tankiness from this Diana. Very nice ult from Brakun. Very nice counter ult, but I mean, you can't really do much in this 1v3, especially not at this point of the game, especially not with these items. He is trying his damn hardest, though. This might actually result in a kill for kill, barely out of range. Very, very, very good attempt by Brakun, though. I will say that much. That was, I mean, he's at least showing us that, hey, I mean, I can play Skarner even if the game has gone a bit out of hand.
Yeah, they're really
I would
just
have liked at least, though.
they're just getting outpaced, honestly, man. It just seems like Eversio are just a second too late all the time, in the last few plays at least. And yeah, we're just dragging on the game at this point. It would be nice to see if they can maybe focus their efforts in one specific area, go there first, make the play, get something out of it, as we're used to seeing them. Let's just hope their confidence hasn't dwindled yet. They've had so many changes during this league as well. So many role swaps, so many people coming in, coming out. No real time maybe to stabilize their current comp properly. Which is a bit of a shame to see. But still not over yet. As we saw there, Brakun almost taking down their carry. Now we are a bit behind here in items, as 2 items being completed on generally the rest of the map. It will take us some time here to recover and maybe get back on pace, but it will be something we need if we would like to contest anything here. It's either that, or maybe if they can find a pick on a carry who's out of position, maybe send more than 2 or 3 people.
I think it has to go down to picks. I mean, I doubt them straight up just winning team fights. As we do see a huge engage from the side of PRG. This will probably likely be Brakun going down. Brakun does in fact go down. Awaken is also low. This is a 5v3. And once again, I mean, Fuyu picks up Reticle on Eyegloss, and it's again just not anticipating that it'll be here. Grouped as 5 at this point in the game. Although it does look like they will just sort of be grouping as 5, trying to get a tower, maybe then rotating into the Atakan. It is in fact a voracious Atakan, which means that the GA is available. Man, I mean, it's not lost, but I mean, it's not looking nice. It's not looking nice. As the game, in fact, has been paused.
So they instantly go back out the anti-cheat mechanism so that the players don't tune into the stream and see the positions of everyone. It's kind of interesting. I don't know how it works, but like how do they know that no one is kind of, you know what I mean, like maybe looking at the stream and sniping since everything is all live and stuff. Not maybe there's a delay on the Twitch that I'm not aware of, because we are watching the Twitch directly. I'm just not sure what holds back people from keeping a second monitor open. But yeah, regardless of that, I'm not sure what the pause is for. I'm pretty sure if we tune in and hear these guys, they might have some response for us. But let's imagine someone needed to go to the toilet, maybe someone needed to drink some water, and we are back. So here we go, back in action, just like the Looney Tunes. Let's see.
Toilet issue.
Oh, yeah. So that's the second item on Starforger. He is battle ready. We are just a little bit far ahead here, a bit trailing behind from Drakur and Aiglos. We just need a bit more gold to be able to get to that point. Brickon, despite being down an item, I still think he will be relatively strong if he can find the secondary engage. Ideally in this
I think
type
just by
of
the
comp,
nature of how tanks work and the way this corner works, he will of course be strong in the game. However, having a good engage will mean nothing if your team is unable to follow up with decent damage. And I don't think Eversio is at a point in the game where they do have decent damage. And in fact, we do see Atakan being started here. Man, I mean, whew, that's a difficult game. There is a world where maybe right here we sort of sack the Atakan and we try to find a pick on the Corki. He was clearing mid lane, although it doesn't look like we'll be realistically trying to do much there. And the Atakan will go over to PRG.
yeah, we go back to holding the lanes. I feel like part of the issue here is that we're a bit too split, whereas Paragon are always sort of, they would only split up like this if they need to answer. Like here, they see Drakur pushing, so they send Corki to recover the wave. Otherwise, after doing so, they will regroup and try and find the pick together. Especially now with this revive, they have full honors and full tendencies to completely run it down here mid lane, and they would not lose much for it.
I'll be honest, I doubt though that Eversio can realistically group here. I think if Paragon just respond by grouping themselves and just take a 5v5, they will probably just end up losing the game, as Brickun once again does get caught out. Very nice little flash by Fast-Legged to stop the E from Skarner, although maybe quite a bit unnecessary. Looks like he was dead anyway. Yeah, I mean, it's...
I didn't mean like fight
awkward.
by group, just more sort of try and find the pick together on someone, but maybe it's a bit late for it at this point. The gold lead has gotten to that 10k mark. Typically, in most competitive games, this could mean a bit of a game over, but never surrender. We might find a pick. Corki, Awaken, might have found him, but he does carry on out, Valkyrie out. So we are missing out.
Do keep in mind that they do of course have the Voracious Atakan buff, so realistically a pick right now just means you get a few blood roses and put the enemy team on a 15-minute death timer. It's not the nicest, to say the much. It's not the nicest situation to be in, as Soul will of course then once again go on to Paragon. We do actually see Brickun trying to maybe find a pick onto the Shen here. Chocolate. It does look like it will go down, but then again, once again, like we're saying, he will just go withdrawing into his own base due to the way that Atakan works. Man.
Yeah, Brickon is close to that second item. Drakur does have it. but sadly the game has gotten a bit far out of hand, because if we look over to their counterparts, they're already finishing their third items. So in terms of power dynamic here, it's very strong for Paragon. If they simply group up, just take the next objective in line, in this case the Baron, and just simply push it down one lane or the other, they are looking at a very decisive potential win here. To see the Valkyrie being missed there on Corky's side, but the Baron is being shredded. That Leandri's damage coming through there.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's a tad. I think it's safe to say it's a tad GG right now. I'm gonna be completely honest. Of course, we'll still keep watching. We'll still see. Maybe Eversio trying to find a particular pick somewhere here and there. But let's be a bit realistic and say, I mean, it does look a tiny bit done. So, as I mean, Fuyu is just styling on Eversio's bot lane at this point. It's so difficult to realistically do anything here, as we do actually see a decent pick onto Bartledy, and that will be in fact a shutdown onto Drakor. That is quite a, I'd say, impactful. The gold lead may be a bit too large for it to be impactful, but in any other scenario, I think that'd be a very impactful little shutdown, especially onto Irione. Chocolate will most likely help the rest of his team take down this bot in him. They probably should just rotate to mid and also finish the mid in him, although it doesn't even look like they need to. Soren does in fact take it out. Baron buff, Soul, very nice little engage, does not land the R on the side of Drakor, but honestly that could have been gigantic. The Channel does come out, of course, to shield him. Chocolat does in fact kill Drakor. Nexus Awaken will most likely be going down. Brickhoon is very low. Flashed on by Soren 1. He will in fact get the kill. Double kill for him. Eyegloss trying to return a kill. Trying to kill Soren. Does not manage. Another kill will go on to Soren. As you do see Fuyu finishing up the last kill. That is a quadra kill. And yeah, I mean, man, rough game. A very, very rough game.
I think all in all, it wasn't that bad. I mean, we started off well, but Paragon were outpacing us during the remainder of the match. It really was a shame, but hopefully, once again, I keep saying this, but I think something we need to consider is all these swaps as well do have a toll. Too much different strategies, while these teams have been very solid team for a lot longer. They've already practiced. They started off nice with a good fresh energy, a new jungle pick, a nice strategy to invade on that 1v2. Sadly though, first few fights did not go well, and it kind of continued from there, especially at the high level. A little bit of gold could be a bit difficult to come back from. We did have some timers where we were equal on items, despite what could have felt like a game that is tracking a bit more behind. Sadly, we didn't take sort of advantage of that. Perhaps on the next one, we do have one more match to potentially take home and win. We did at least win one so far, but I hope we can get back up, decide on who we're gonna be as a 5-man, and play it out together. Iron out these mistakes, and not only that, see what your opponents are doing. That's the best way to improve. Maybe see what's working out for your opponents and see what you can replicate yourself. Do you have any words, Mr. Nano, for what you've just witnessed?
Pepe hands.
Sure.
I think that's like Pepe hands.
Oh my
So
god, man.
they're
Do you have real words that human beings use? Please.
It's the crying it's the crying Pepe emoji. I mean, it's it's not the best game, definitely. I think there was a tiny bit of disorganization. I think generally, and like you were saying, they were sort of always maybe a step or two behind the enemy team. I think this was a game, especially with their comp, where they had to play a bit more proactive, and it felt like they were sort of more reactive. Yeah, I mean, it's a hard game.
It just felt like Paragon
hard
got
game to
everything
remember.
they wanted. Like, they're like, oh, okay, so we have grubs, so I guess we gank top lane. There's a free top lane gank. We get the gank, get the grubs. Oh, we want dragon. Okay, we will get a play around bot lane, and then we get the dragon. We have our first item, guys. Okay, we can take the next grubs. They just go, they get the grubs. You know, it just felt like that kind of game. You know, it's like it wasn't solo queue-esque, which is the big difference here. I don't think this was like, for Paragon at least, wasn't so. It was like a, how you call, like a standard team play. Like if you were to put a team in like a custom game, and you would tell them, okay, play out a game of League of Legends according to how it should go. So you get the good farm, with farm, you invade a bit, you get a little bit more farm, get that item, you take your objective because you're just a bit ahead if it's level 6 or that item, and you just continue that down the lane. All the objectives. I think not even one objective was secured, sadly. It just felt like that, honestly. I don't know how to go around it too much, but the 2v1 in the top lane there was a great choice by Paragon, sending Shen in the bot lane. A lot of time that Shen gave pressure that Gangplank could not. Sadly, it's just a matter of champion, not realistically on the player though. Yeah. And Mr. Nano, if you were coaching Eversio,
Yeah.
what would you work on at this point?
I think there's certain champs that you pick if you want to play early game oriented, and then there's certain champs where you pick where you want to play mid game oriented. If you're a team who thinks that you should value your mid game, as I think Eversio's strongest point is their mid game, it's if they get out of lane ahead or even, and I think they have really good team play, then I think you should be drafting and playing towards your strengths. I'm gonna be honest, I think Berkun played pretty well on Skarner, but it's the way he plays. I think Skarner is the sort of champ where you rush that hard seal and you just keep ganking, you keep fighting, you keep finding plays, and I think just playing maybe a certain champ, it's not even just him. I think the entire comp was a tiny bit over the place, especially the way it was played. Like you're saying, it wasn't solo queue. It wasn't the case that Eversio got stomped in lanes and they lost everything and oh my god, they just got outplayed. No, it wasn't that at all. It was honestly just a bit of disorganization in what do you want from this game? What is your major strategy? What will you be playing towards? And how are you actually gonna find a way to close out and win the game?
I have to admit, I like the draft. I think it's just the case that like every play I saw was almost like we're just a little bit too late, or we're a little bit secluded, or maybe we're not sure if we should commit to this or not, and then you get like one or two people caught off. It just felt like that. And it does come down to organization, getting a proper shot caller in place, and sort of
But I think champions are
all
not.
that out.
I think we're agreeing. I think we're agreeing that like maybe it's more understanding before even like you get into the game while you're loading and hey, what do we want to play towards? What do we want to do? How do we want to play this out?
Yeah,
What
for
objective
sure,
we should
for
be
sure.
actually fighting for? So it didn't feel like they had that in mind. Now it could be that they had a plan in mind and things went kind of left and right there, and obviously maybe a bit of stakes as the bit of stress of playing competitively, tiny bit of tilt because everyone tilts a tiny bit. But yeah,
So yeah, because I wasn't being heard, but something I did mention on the first fight, where we fought around the blue side camps, that it was a 4v4, but I do think that Ezreal and Corki dealt more damage there in terms of just team comp. It was the first fight we fought in the game, and yet it slowly created a small snowball. Ezreal walked out of there with 2 kills, Corki with 1, and yeah, it was just overall very very hard to fight that, but they took it anyways, and it didn't work out in the end. So maybe taking a bit more guaranteed plays, or maybe plays that are close to guaranteed as much as possible, could help out in this game specifically. But there's a lot of things to learn. I think Paragon played exceptionally well, very clean, like not really much mistakes on their end. They sort of took a fight, they won the fight and kept on going. Better luck next time, Eversio, from my side. My support is still there with you. You still have one more match. I hope you don't sort of lose faith or lose hope or confidence before that last match. Give me one more good match, one more well thought out, methodical. Take it like it's the final of the Division 1, as if you've won everything, and I'll be happy. Even if it's lost, I want to see good teamwork and a team that's just playing together. Yeah, what do you think, Nano?
yeah, I agree with you completely. I think when I lose, we just get one good match. I don't care about winning or losing. I just want to see a good game being had, and I think Eversio's definitely had good games. It's just a shame that it feels like these last two have been a bit. I understand it's a bit demotivating to go through the many losses, but I would at least like to see one more good game where we sort of play together as a team and we try to give a good fight, even if it ends up, resulting in a loss.
Alright, that's all from me for tonight. I hope for everyone that joined the stream you at least enjoyed this commentary. It starts off a bit too quickly for my liking. It was on a different format than usual. I apologize for that. If you missed the draft, remember to check out the VOD later. It will be uploaded as soon as the stream ends. Thank you for Nano for joining me as well. Mick, I am fully with you. Make Eversio great again. We really need to step out or maybe go back to Division 2, grind a bit more of those games, get more familiar with this professional scene, and then work our way up. We definitely have a lot of work to do, but I will be here to support it. Until then, good night from me. Thank you everyone for joining us for another great Thursday stream. Our last game will be on Monday, so we'll see you around then. And until then, Nano, maybe you want to say good night?
Good night, everyone.
Yes, we'll catch you all next time. Adios.